This is your Ride Companion Builder tutorial. When you open up Ride Companion and you go to settings, you can see that it's pre-configured with 4 different apps. Lyft Driver, Postmates Fleet, Uber Driver, and Amazon Flex. Sometimes these apps will update or they may not work with Ride Companion as it is pre-configured. So to fix that, you need to do 2 things. Grab the screen data from the app and configure it in Ride Companion Builder. So to do that, we'll long press the Ride Companion home icon, select screen grab. This blue button pops up and we can long press that and drag it wherever we need it, and then we'll open up Lyft Driver. When this screen is fully loaded, this is the screen we see when the driver mode is off. So we want to grab that screen. So we press the screen grab button and we select driver mode off. This is the screen for driver mode off. And we would do the same for the screen we see when we're waiting for a request after we've gone online. And then for our trip request screen, while we're receiving a trip request, we want to capture that screen as well. So we want 3 screens: driver mode off, waiting for request, and trip request. After we grab those screens, we can close the screen grab tool, return to the home screen, long press the Ride Companion button, and open up RC Builder. At the very top, we'll select the list and we'll select Lyft Driver. The screen we want to configure is driver mode off. And then we can collapse this menu and we can work with the screen grab. At the top we have some buttons. We have our text objects, our image objects, and our clickable objects. We'll work with the clickable objects first. In Lyft, they use Google Maps inside their app, and that is a clickable object. But Ride Companion doesn't need to know that. So we can hide that like that by long pressing that box. It'll hide those boxes so we can select the boxes underneath it. On your driver mode off screen, it needs to have a driver mode toggle button. The button you press to toggle your driver mode on or off. So that button is at the top in the center here where it says Go Online. We press on that. The key words in that button are Go Online. Those are not variables, those are the key words. I'll explain variables later. That is a press to toggle driver mode button, so we'll check that box and we'll save it. To make sure this is the driver mode off screen, there's a couple other things we want Ride Companion to look for besides just that button and those 2 keywords. We want to verify that with a profile image, because that image is always there for driver mode off, so we'll save that. We want to save this home button. We want Ride Companion to always find the home button. And we always want it to find this earnings button. Those things are always there while your driver mode is off. There's also some text that is always here when driver mode is off. It always says home on the screen, and it always says earnings. So we'll save those 2 things as keywords. And now we are done configuring our driver mode off screen. Next we will configure our waiting for request screen. This is the screen you see after your driver mode is on and you're waiting for a request. At the top of the screen, or somewhere on this screen in any app, there should always be a driver mode toggle button. So in Lyft, it's this top center button where it says online. That's a clickable item. We'll hide the map clickables again. That's a clickable object. So we'll click on that. A keyword is online. That's our driver mode toggle button, and we'll save it. Same with that image. And at the very bottom, this object box at the bottom is always here when our driver mode is on and we're waiting for a request, so we'll save that. Now there's also some text on the screen we want to save as variables. The number of rides always shows up at the bottom of your waiting for a request screen. So you can see where it says 0 rides at the bottom. We're going to click on that 0. We're going to set that as a variable. Okay, that's in the right column. We select the 0. That's a number value. And that's total trips for today. That's the name of the variable we want to save. We save it. And now every time it sees that variable at the bottom of the screen in Lyft, Ride Companion will log those trips for you. So that way it knows that you can pull that up in a report later on in Ride Companion. Next, we're going to configure the trip request screen. This is a more complicated screen because this is the screen that contains all your filters and your trip request accept buttons. Okay, so there's a few things going on here. The first things we want to configure is our clickables. Okay, so that at the top left corner you see this circle with the X. That's always there, and that is your trip deny button, or your request deny button. Ride Companion will never click on that, but we want it to know that it's there. Okay, so we want to save that, because that's always there, and it'll help Ride Companion know that this is actually a trip request screen. The other box, or clickable object that is always there, is the accept box. Okay, so we want to click on that, and this is what we press to accept a request, so we're going to check that box and save it. Next, there's a bunch of text on this screen. This is all the variables that we want to save. Where it says Lyft, this is our service category. So we want to click on that, set it as a variable, not a keyword, but a variable. It's a text value. It's a service category. That's the name of the variable we want to save. And save it. And that variable is what it's going to use for the filter settings in Ride Companion. Where it says 5 mins, this is the time it takes to travel to the customer. So we select the 5, that's a number value. Estimated time of arrival, that's a variable we want to save it to be able to be used with filters in Ride Companion. We want to save it. Customer name, that's a variable. It's a text value. Customer name is the name of the variable we want to save it to. And save that option. The 5.0 next to the star is a customer star rating. That's a number value. Customer rating. Save it. Tap to accept. That's text at the bottom. All these can be used as keywords. It's a accept request object, and we can save that. And now we have configured our trip request screen. And that's all there was to that. We can uncollapse the menu. We can save it. It'll save that to a file. It'll update the module. Reload it for Ride Companion, and now it's ready to be used with Ride Companion. To verify that it loaded properly, we can go to the history screen, and it'll say Lyft driver from module file. It was loaded from the module file we just saved. So if everything works, we can activate Ride Companion by pressing the car. It's going to turn Uber on first. That's my primary app. It's going to go to Lyft, and it's going to turn Lyft on. And now Ride Companion is activated. It did that all automated. We can deactivate Ride Companion. You can see that it worked just how it's supposed to. And that's it. And that's how you configure Ride Companion for a new app or use the Ride Companion Builder.